Welcome to today's conference call, Creating a Culture of Staff Empowerment. My name is Hilda, and I will be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. During the question-and-answer session, if you have a question, please press *1 using your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. And now I would like to turn the call over to Ms. Pamela Longmire. Ms. Longmire, you may begin.
Welcome to the Grade 8 webinar, Creating a Culture of Staff Improvement. My name is Pamela Longmire, and I'm with Montana's Nursing Home Quality Improvement Project for nursing homes. My co-host today is JoAnn Hibl. Shannon is the Nursing Home Project Manager with Health Insights, New Mexico. All lines have been placed on mute. However, we welcome your chat, questions, comments, and feedback throughout this presentation. We have a dedicated time after each speaker's presentation for your questions. We've also inserted polling questions throughout this presentation to help us connect with you. Throughout this webinar, please add your chat and what you do to create a culture of staff empowerment at your facilities. This is a great opportunity for us all to share ideas and learn from each other. Today's speakers include JoAnn Hibl and her team from Faith Lutheran Home, Wolf Point, Montana, and Donald Wilson from Village at Northrise in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Before I introduce JoAnn, she will introduce her team, we'd like to hear from you. Here's our first polling question. Could we bring up the first polling question, please? What is the average length of time direct care staff remain at your facility? Can you make a selection? Is that poll coming up? Oh, there it is. Thank you. I feel like we should have had some Jeopardy music playing for this. Okay, we should have results popping up really quickly. While we're waiting for those results, I'm going to tell you about JoAnn. JoAnn is the Vice President of Senior and Long-Term Care at Faith Home. She is an RN, and she served at Faith Home as Nursing Home Administrator and has been the Dawn there for over 30 years. She holds her ANCC gerontological nursing credentials. Her primary charge is to keep Faith Home as a 5-star nursing home. JoAnn is well respected, and her advice is highly sought after throughout Montana. She received the Montana Center to Advance Health through Nursing of Outstanding Nurses Award for the year of 2017. So we have a lot of no answers, and it looks like the majority fell into the 2 to 5 years. So that's actually fairly encouraging. So, JoAnn, would you like to introduce your team?
Sure, thanks, Pamela. I have Joby Flynn here, our future administrator at Faith Home, and Stacy Green, who is our social service designee. And we each have a little presentation, and I will get started. I'm excited to share some of our approaches we use at Faith Home and hope it'll be helpful for everyone in the audience. I thought it was kind of important to let you know how I started out in healthcare. I started out right here at Faith Home in high school. I worked in the dietary department, and then the administrator kind of convinced me that I should become a nurse's aide and then encouraged me to go to nursing school. And when I returned to the area from nursing school, I worked at the hospital for 10 years in our acute care hospital. But when the director of nurses position became available, I applied and was given the job, which was very exciting for me because I had enjoyed long-term care. But there was a big challenge in my first few years as director of nurses here, and it was the staffing turnover and how to provide quality care when you were dealing with the turnover. We couldn't constantly be training new staff. The residents and their families, it just was not a good deal. So we worked together here and did some things which I'll share with you. Position. She was given all the rules and regulations and just the authority to do what you need to do to improve weight loss, and our weight loss dramatically declined. The same type of situation happened with antipsychotic drug use, and these nurse champions continue to monitor that monthly and give monthly reports, and it's been a very successful thing. So having a goal is very important, and all the employees knowing what that goal is even more important. We do have employee service standards also, and those standards, all the new employees are aware in general orientation. They're told about the standards, and we really try to enforce them in the facility. One of the things we do that might seem like just a little thing, but I think it's made a big difference. We have a 10-foot rule, and you don't pass anyone, whether it be a resident, a family member, a visitor, another staff member. If you're within 10 feet of somebody in the hall, you greet them and say something to them. We don't just pass people in the hall without saying anything. And that's one thing we really try to enforce. And the first day a new employee is at work, their supervisor introduces that employee to every department head in the facility, and each department head tries to learn something about that employee. And then for the next several weeks, we try to, when that employee is working, visit with them, make them feel welcome, make them feel like a part of the team. Another thing that we've done is offer advancements, different kinds of duties for employees. We have housekeepers, dietary assistants, and even maintenance men, activity people that have taken the feeding assistance class, and then they can assist with feeding if necessary at times, or if there's a resident who favors a certain employee, then that employee can help them, and that's been really helpful for us. We do our activity aides, we encourage them to also be certified nurses aides, and that kind of helps with cares and things when the residents are in activities. We do, one nurse's aide, she was very efficient, and we were having problems ordering supplies. We didn't seem to be able to keep our supplies on hand. She took over that duty, and in 1 month that problem was solved. We had supplies when we needed it, and it was just a little extra thing. She did 2 hours a week. Didn't cost any more, but we got to get it done. Another thing, kind of an interesting one, I think, is we began the music and memory program, and many of our employees became certified in that program, and it required downloading special music for each resident that was going to be in the program. We were sort of having trouble doing that. Maybe we didn't have enough techie people around or whatever. But I noticed that the young man that cleaned the floors in the evening had earbuds in, and I visited with him one day about it, And he said, hey, I'll do that. Well, we talked to his supervisor, and now he's our music man, and whenever we need music downloaded, he does it for us. And it was just kind of an extra duty for him, and I think it gave him a boost and more excited about the whole organization. So just things like that we do. And then we have offered the apprenticeship programs through the Healthcare Montana grant. These, right now it's physical therapy, and soon it will be dementia training, where the CNAs can take special training and become nationally certified in physical therapy and in the dementia care. So that has really been exciting. We also have one nurse's aide who is, through the apprenticeship program, going to become an LPN, started the training, and will be finishing in about another 6 months, I believe, without having to leave the community much. And then Joby, who will be talking a little later, is in an apprenticeship program for administration of long-term care. So we do offer a lot of advancements and different things that our employees can do. We have always mentored our young. Every spring we try to offer a CNA class for high school students. Really, the high school assists us to encourage anyone interested in nursing to take the nursing assistance program. If they are interested during the school year, we try to have them start out in the dietary department, see if they like it. Then they, in the summer, take the CNA class, and we work with them through their schedules in high school so that they get some experience. And at one time, 2 years ago, the two directors of nurses at our hospital in Wolf Point and in Poplar both started their careers here at Faith Home. So I do believe it helps to mentor your young. You will get more nurses in your community that way. This probably was the hardest part, but in the end is maybe the easiest part, the flexible schedules and assignments. We developed team leaders that were CNAs, and they handle the CNA schedule. We post the schedule 4 weeks ahead of time. The nurses' aides write down the days they want to work and the hours, and then the team leaders work together to develop a schedule that works for us. The team leaders also are given the authority to call in other CNAs when needed, to do whatever they need to do to get enough help here in the facility. And that has worked really well. We have permanent assignments, so the nurses' aides take care of the same residents when they work. And on most days, what I've begun to notice over the years is the same CNAs work on the same days. So you have 2 or 3 groups of CNAs that work together. And I think it develops a team, and they have a really good process. It seems to work well. They do also, we have, with the permanent assignments, our assignments are made according to the residents' ADL scores. So probably about every week or two, the team leaders and the ward clerk look at those ADL scores and make sure everybody's assignments are pretty evenly distributed. So one CNA isn't taking care of a group of very difficult residents and another one not having much of a load. So it divides it up evenly. But they do those assignments on their own with supervision. I supervise them, and the directors of nurses do. So that approach has worked very well for us. It's hard when you get a new nurse, though, an RN or LPN. They have a hard time with the CNA having that kind of authority. It takes a few months, but usually they begin to understand how this is working and go with the flow, and it's successful. We do, and probably the most difficult thing was how we handle our frequent absenteeism to prevent our turnover rate. When a CNA that has good skills becomes an attendance problem, they're changed to casual relief status. I give them written notification that they will be removed from the schedule and used on a call-in basis, and that they will not receive benefits. I always add to the communication that full-time work is available when they are able to work when scheduled. This works well because we are not always getting new CNAs. The team leaders can usually find someone to come in the day before coverage is needed. It saves on overtime and benefits. It also rewards the loyal employees who come to work when scheduled, as they get benefits and raises, and the attendance problem employees do not. And one thing that we try to keep in mind here too is when someone is having an attendance problem, what's the rest of the story? Why are they having the problem? And is there something we can do to correct it? A lot of times, it's just daycare. We had one gal, this was probably about, quite some time ago. We didn't realize it, but once we got to visiting with her, she was being abused at home, and we helped her get to a safe house. It took about 2 or 3 weeks, but she got everything fixed, and she's been a dedicated employee for at least 12 years. Never missed a day of work, comes. So sometimes it's worth the extra effort to help these people, and you really do get a dedicated employee that's part of the family. Anyways, I have 2 really special gals here that want to share their stories with you of how things have gone for them at Faith Home. My first is Stacy Green, who started here as a CNA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stacy, and this is my tale of advancement here at Faith Home. In 2008, my life took an unexpected turn when I had another child, having had my last one 13 years before. My plan was to stay home with her for the first year and then go back to work. However, since my life was a lot different now, I wanted something new and challenging. My entire life has been spent working at various office jobs. So when I saw that Faith Home was advertising the CNA classes, it seemed like a good way to start in the medical field. In 2009, I became a licensed CNA and began my now 8-year career at Faith Home. It turned out that I loved my job, loved the residents, and really liked my boss. JoAnn always took the time to ask for my input, opinions, and ideas. When I became the team leader for my shift, the additional responsibilities were challenging and made me feel like a valued member of the team. JoAnn was also very flexible with the schedule, allowing me to raise 2 later-in-life children and still have time to be an actual parent. In fact, I enjoyed my job and the scheduling at Faith Home so much that I started to make plans to become a nurse. In 2012, I made the decision to move to another city to pursue my nursing degree. However, shortly after the move, it became clear that the timing was not right and my plans would have to be postponed. In a last-chance attempt to make things work there, I applied at the nearest nursing home to my house, which I later found out was a 2-star facility. Wow, what an eye-opener that was. Within a week of starting there, I was blown away by their sloppy standards and total disregard for their CNAs. I would leave work and not know when to return because the schedule wasn't completed yet. My stay there was less than a month, a very long month, while I made preparations to move back home, where I could again work at a job that I was proud of and feel valued, instead of some substandard employee. While personally regrouping, I continued to happily work as a CNA for the next 4 years at Faith Home until my rotator cuff started having problems. Our ward clerk at the time was planning to move, so I applied for her position. Without knowing the full extent of my previous clerical experience, JoAnn was still willing to give me a chance to advance into that position. After working as a ward clerk for a year, in August of 2017, I was offered and accepted my current position as a social service designee. I've retained my CNA license so that I'm able to continue to help out in a limited capacity, which occasionally sees me as a feeder some mornings when we don't have as much staff as we would like. Once again, I enjoy being able to be a part of the team. My story of advancement is one of several here at Faith Home. Because of the pride we have in our facility, teamwork, and the opportunities that we are given, we are not just employees here, we're family. Thank you for listening to my story. Next we have Jody Flynn.
Thank you, JoAnn and Stacy. My name is Jody Flynn. Today I'm going to talk about my experience in long-term care and the career advancements that I have been awarded during my 18 years of employment at Northeast Montana Health Services, Faith Home. My employment began in October of 1999. Prior to that moment, I was not even aware that Wolf Point had a nursing home. I was a young mother of two with no college degree and limited real-world work experience, none of which was in the medical field. My neighbor was the activity director, and she offered me a position as an activity assistant. I enjoyed my work and activities with the residents, but the varying schedule was not ideal with small children and limited daycare resources. After only 6 months, the business office manager position became available. This position was Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, no weekends or holidays. I applied and was promoted to the business office position. I thoroughly enjoyed managing the resident account and assisting all departments as needed. While in this position, I interacted with all employees at Faith Home, and I saw their many struggles and obstacles that they endured. It was noted that many of them needed extra attention and support. It occurred to me that Faith Home and its staff was like a wagon, and sometimes the staff fall off the wagon. We as coworkers and managers need to do everything we can to continue to build up the sides on the wagon by being supportive and encouraging. We become family with our staff members and our residents. I worked as the business office manager until the fall of 2007. At this time, the social services designee had resigned, and that position became available. I was promoted to the social service designee position for Northeast Montana Health Services. This position encompassed both the nursing home and the two hospitals. This position allows for a more flexible schedule and the ability to attend school activities for my growing children. As we are planning for the future of Faith Home, a succession plan was implemented. The succession plan included the nursing home administrator role. I was presented with the opportunity to advance into the nursing home administrator position. While investigating the requirements for the nursing home administrator license, I found that there were a lot of parts missing. Healthcare Montana Grant was involved in our facility, and they had asked about other areas of healthcare that needed to be added to their program. In the spring of 2017, Healthcare Montana Grant implemented a nursing home administrator apprenticeship program. I am excited to be the first applicant and participant in the Healthcare Montana Grant Administrator Apprenticeship Program, and I look forward to whatever the future has in store. The chance taken on me and the chance that I took 18 years ago has resulted in a career opportunity in long-term care. Encourage and mold your staff and give them the tools to make your facility the best it can be. Don't be afraid to promote within. The outcomes are greater than expected. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for JoAnn's team?
I had a question. This is Donald Wilson. Do I go ahead and ask it? Okay, can you tell us some more about the Montana Grants Program? Who administers that and how does that work? That sounds very innovative.
The Montana Health Network is mainly the responsible organization for that. And Madeline Dame at the state of Montana would have some information on that as well. They're the ones that are promoting the restorative aid program and the dementia care program and medication assistance programs for the CNAs in nursing homes in Montana.
Yeah, it sounds like an innovative program, and I'd like to learn more about it. I guess I could learn that through the QIO?
Yeah, we can get all the contact information to Pamela.
Okay, thank you.
Donald, I work really close with Madeline Dame, and I can connect the two of you. So just have Shannon email to us. Can we open up the queue for any other questions, please?
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have a question, please press *1 using your touchtone phone. We have a question from Charlene Hansen. She is with the Southwest Healthcare. Please go ahead.
Is the program that you just referred to only available in Montana?
Yes.
I believe so.
It was a conglomeration with the Department of Labor and Industry, and they were trying to figure out how they could promote different avenues for healthcare to help people advance in their careers.
In rural communities, because we're so rural here in Montana.
So this is a grant that the Montana Department of Labor and Industries was able to get, and they actually have, I think it's 13 different apprenticeship programs now. So in addition to the administrative internship, they have things like a dementia line, teaching people how to work with residents with dementia. If Madeline is on the call, she might chime in and tell a little bit about it. But I think any state that wanted to get grants and create the programs could do it. So maybe a little nudge from facilities, and that would be something they would do. I would think the QIO, we partner a lot with Madeline here in Montana because it really helps us obtain our goals too. So your QIO might help you encourage the state to do it if you don't have that program.
We'll go to the next question. It comes from Lisa Ham from Avera James Care Center.
I just had one other quick question. You said you don't do raises or benefits for your casual position. Did I understand that correctly for the people?
Yeah.
How often do they end up then staying or deselecting and moving on, or what do you see there?
You know what I've found is usually I counsel them, put them on casual relief, and then maybe for 2 weeks, sometimes it's longer, but usually within a month or two, they're back again and we put them on full time. There's some, maybe, what do you guys think? Maybe 10% we end up losing, but most of them we end up getting back.
Do you have criteria that they have to meet in order to, one, maintain that casual relief status, and two, in order to redeem themselves, so to speak, to move back into a regular position?
Well, our human resources person has helped us with that. If they're on casual relief, there's no amount of hours they have to work. They can't be regularly scheduled. And as long as they complete their mandatory annual training, we would keep them on the books. And then once they come back, if we begin to schedule them regularly, after 2 weeks, if they've come the 6 shifts are scheduled in those 2 weeks, because we have 12-hour shifts, I add them back to full or part-time, whatever they want. And, you know, you have some failures on and off. Some go back and forth, but at least you're not training new employees all the time. And usually there's someone available to come in when you need help, and it's someone that knows your residents and how you do business.
We'll go to the next question. It comes from Sandy Casey from Benedictine Living Center.
Actually, this is Scott. I was just curious as to what your retention rate was for your staffing.
You know, we haven't checked it real recently, but it's been like around 80% for a while, for a lot of years.
Do you have a lot of staff that have been there for over 5 years?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Great. When you put in these people, you know, when you're turning them into casual for, you know, when they're having lots of absences, how does that work with their health insurance then? Is it a short period of time, like you said? Is it usually only a 2 or 3 week deal, so it doesn't affect HR and all that paperwork? Or?
It does. When they get changed to casual relief, they aren't regularly scheduled, so and their status changes to casual relief, so they lose their health insurance and all those benefits.
Okay, so they basically got to wait till June or whatever the next year before they can get their benefits back, correct? Or?
Right.
Okay. And do they really, you only lose about 10% of those people even after that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. Well, I appreciate that.
The next question comes from Natalie Blum from Montana Department of Labor and Industry.
Hi, this is Madeline, and I heard my name mentioned a couple of times. And I just wanted to let the folks know that from out of state, that we are actively working with several other states now because Montana has been so innovative in this healthcare apprenticeship. So if you are from another state, you can contact me, and I'd be happy to help link you with your registered apprenticeship program or see what we need to do. And I also wanted to just give my email, which is M as in Mary, C as in Babe, O-E, H as in Henry, M as in Mary, at mt.gov. And that's all I have to say.
Chat, please.
You know, I am driving, so if somebody else could put that in the chat for me, that'd be great.
I will put it in for you.
Thank you.
At this moment, we have no other questions.
Hi, this is Shannon from Health Insight, and I wanted to comment. We had a couple of questions in the Q&A queue that we did not get to. So we had a question about whether or not your CNAs were part of a union.
And they are not.
Okay. And then we had another question about with assignments, do you fill in the schedule by seniority first or first come, first served?
I don't think we've ever had a problem with that. The CNAs just kind of work together, and that same group works the same days most of the time, and they just kind of fill in when needed, and it works. I've never had it where they say like, oh, well, what are we going to do? Everybody wants to work this day. Just doesn't seem to happen that way for us.
Okay.
They work together.
All right. And then somebody else had asked where can they get the feeding assistance training. I don't know if they meant in the state of Montana or just in general.
Oh, it's in the rules and regulations, the long-term care rules and regulations, what you have to do to have to be a feeding assistant. I believe it's an 8-hour class, and it's just clear in those rules, and then you send your class resume to your state Department of Health, and they approve it, and then you can teach the program and have feeding assistants.
Great. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you to JoAnn and Stacy and Joby, and we're actually going to move on from our question and answer period to another quick polling question. And so the polling question can be brought up. It asks, what are the most common barriers to staff empowerment in your organization? So if you could take a moment and just indicate for your building which of these seem to be the most common. Okay. And while we're waiting for the poll results, I'll do a quick introduction of our next speaker, Donald Wilson. So, Donald Wilson actually began his career in long-term care as a volunteer. He has worked as a nursing home administrator in Washington, Oregon, and New Mexico. Donald is the Senior Center Executive Director for the Village at Northrise, which is New Mexico's very first facility to receive physical restraint-free status in 2012. Village at Northrise earned the Silver Award from the American Healthcare Association in 2012 and was recertified at the Silver Award level of quality in 2015. Donald was recognized as the Administrator of the Year in 2013 by the New Mexico Healthcare Association. And as I'm passing the ball over to Donald, let's take a quick look. It looks like, again, a lot of no responses, but staffing and turnover seem to be the most identified barrier to staff empowerment. Okay. So, Donald, you now have the ball.
Okay, thank you very much. So the Village at Northrise is a little bit different type of operation. We have 4 operations on our 16-acre campus. We have a 60-unit independent living building. We have a freestanding 79-apartment assisted living operation. And then the third building on the campus, half of it comprises a 31-bed short-term care. The company calls it a transitional care unit, and then the other half of the building has a memory care support assisted living that has 24 residents. So we have the direct care staff work specifically to the operation, but many of the support staff float between the different buildings and the different operations. So we've had a great deal of success involving our employees in our quality assurance and performance improvement program. And this started a couple years ago when our company asked us to reorganize our quality efforts around excellence teams. So currently we have 5 types of excellence teams. Because our campus has both assisted living and skilled nursing care, we actually have 2 clinical teams. But the slide here just talks about the 5 types of teams that we have. And you'll see from that we have a number of frontline staff participating in these teams. It's a 6-month assignment, and before they begin their 6-month assignment, they receive an hour worth of training on the quality process, and then when the 6 months is over, we try to have some type of celebration event where we review the accomplishments that the teams contributed to over that 6-month period of time and have a debriefing. So the way that the frontline staff members are involved, they're involved in when a focused PDCA activity occurs, They help with any part of that they have knowledge with. Sometimes it's formulating what the problem is, or it might be determining what the current practice is, and in some cases they're involved in helping generate solutions and then implement those changes. As often as possible, we involve the frontline staff in the root cause analysis because our experience has shown that many times they understand what's going on better than those of us in management do. One of the other things that's been very successful is when we meet a target for improvement is to have some type of a small celebration. It might be a cake from the dietary department. It might be getting everybody together for a photo, and then we would submit that to our corporate newsletter. But we rarely, I don't think we can ever celebrate success too often. So I encourage you to include that as a part of your coffee process, is get people together, acknowledge accomplishment, and celebrate it quickly. The other things that frontline staff are involved in, we have some organizational coffee activities. So each of the teams, each of the excellence teams each month will have certain audit activities that they perform. The audits are scheduled on an annual basis so that all of our key processes, our key systems are reviewed at least once on an annual basis. Sometimes if we've identified that there's an issue in customer service delivery or some other process, we might schedule an ad hoc audit. But we involve the frontline staff in completing these audits. It does a couple things for us. It broadens their view of the organization. It helps them understand the why behind why we do certain things. We try, the team captain that's assigning the audits will try to have people cross departments, again, to help people understand how we work together as a team. That's been very successful. The other thing that we do that's probably been the most successful of all the changes we've tried to make to get our frontline staff involved and feel empowered as part of our coffee process is at the end of each team meeting. So there's those 5 team meetings each month, and each one has 3 to 8 frontline staff members. The team captain will go to each person in the room and ask them individually these questions. So these questions are designed to help us identify the things that are not working right for the teams, for the team members. So every time we ask these questions, we learn something new. We discover that there might be a process that's broken or something that we think is quite simple that's not working the way it should work for the benefit of our employees. And it's by asking these questions and listening to the feedback that we get most of our improvements. This next slide here shows that for the last half of 2017, the contributions from those excellence teams, we came up with 34 frontline employees came up with, I think there's 37 or 38 suggestions here that resulted in improvements in operation. And if you read through those, none of them are earth-shattering. There's not a silver bullet in there, but they're all little things that had not gotten brought to the attention of management in a way that they got resolved until they bubbled up through the excellence team. Many of the things you see on here might have been addressed through a work order if a staff member had taken time to do a work order, or through some other method. But these are all things that found their way to being resolved because they came up through the coffee process. And we really celebrate that because as my staff get tired of hearing me say, I can only fix the stuff I know about. Many times they think I know everything, and I try to assure them I really don't. So when they give us these ideas, we always act on the things they bring up in our excellence team meetings. There's some lessons we've learned, and these lessons are not just lessons from our organization. Last week, the New Mexico Healthcare Association had a convention in Santa Fe, and there was a panel that talked about generally methods that can be used to reduce turnover, to improve quality of staff, and to empower the staff to be more effective at delivering the mission for the organizations. And some of these ideas came out of there. One of the speakers on the panel talked about how they've really honed down their training to 5-minute sessions because they've identified that with the newer group of employees that 5 minutes, it has to be hands-on, it has to be something real. So instead of talking to somebody for 5 minutes about hand washing, they actually get somebody, get over to the sink, and for 5 minutes they go through the process and have them demonstrate and demonstrate hand washing. It's definitely a lesson we're going to try to implement here in my organization because ongoing training takes a lot of time, and we want to do what we can to make it as effective as possible. Another idea that came out that I wanted to share with the group is safety scavenger hunts. Once again, rather than having an all-staff meeting and talking about, the 18-inch rule, in this particular center, the maintenance supervisor would go around and set up violations of safety rules. And then the staff would be sent out to try to find those. Once again, it involves people. It's a experiential learning as opposed to something didactic where you're just lecturing to people, since that just doesn't seem to work anymore. Another idea here is to involve your customers, your guests, your residents, their families, in identifying what they value. So one of the tools we use here, we have a program called the Silver Star Awards. We have little comment cards that are strategically placed throughout the organization, and we invite the guests and their family members or the residents to complete a card if one of our employees does something exceptional for them. And the card identifies the employee and tells us specifically what it was that individual did that caused the customer to take time out of their day to let us know how much they appreciated it. And these cards get posted on a board so everybody can see what they are. The individual employees that receive one of these also get a letter from me as the executive director thanking them for going out of their way to make our customers happy, and we include a copy of what the note is so they know what it was they did so they can continue doing it and make other customers happy. Similar type of ideas are Caught in the Act Award. They can be called any number of things, but the idea is it brings the customers into the feedback loop to let us know what it is that they value the most. We also have a Gold Star Award program. This one is administered by management team members, so department heads can issue a Gold Star Award. And the thing that's unique about those is we tie those to the core values of the organization. So when we tell an employee that they did something, we don't just point out what they did, but we tie it to one of the elements of the core values or the mission. And that certainly helps build the quality of our organization. The last thing from the rewards is the idea that as a manager you need to take time to identify what is considered a reward by your employee. Not everybody is motivated by the same thing, so try to build some flexibility into your program so that you're able to reward people in a way that is valuable to them. The next slide here includes an FYI form that we use in our organization. It's a 2-part NCR form. I know it's kind of hard to read on there, but the purpose of the FYI form is to gather information. So the form is used to advise the department head about the performance of one of their employees. It can be something someone observed that they thought indicates the person might need some more training, or it might be something they observed where the person completing the form feels that the employee did an exceptional job. The top part of the form is simply what they observed, and we train the people to be objective. So just give us the facts, just the facts, man. That's the top part of the form. The bottom part is where the department head initiates an investigation and determines an appropriate action. It might be praising the employee in front of their peers. Might be completing a Gold Star Award initially to the employee if it's a positive thing. It might be retraining the employee or reviewing a procedure with the employee, or we're training maybe the entire department on an issue if it's determined that the employee is doing something only because that's the way everybody's doing it. So the department head's response has to be appropriate and to the nature of the outcome of the investigation. Now, one of the other things we do here at our organization is public recognition. Now, I want to put the caveat in. We only do this if the employee would see it as a reward. We have some of our best employees that we've talked to about nominating them for statewide awards, and they've asked us not to because it is not seen by them as a positive thing to have to get up in front of a large group of strangers. So if that's the case, we don't do it. We let them know privately how much we appreciate them. In New Mexico, and I realize not all the people on this call today are from New Mexico, we have these 3 different award programs that we participate in. And you probably have something similar in your state, and I'm told that if you contact your QIO or your state healthcare association, that you can find out how to access these types of programs in your state. The last one there is a national award program through the American Healthcare Association and the National Center for Assisted Living. So that is open to everybody that's on the call today. Final thing I want to talk about is just trying to have some fun in the organization. We have this, Shannon mentioned that we were the first center in New Mexico to have a restraint-free certification, and that is true. We recently had a challenge here in the state of New Mexico between the big operators, the multi-facility providers, to see which multi-facility provider could have the largest number of centers complete the restraint-free certification, and we had some fun with it at the state meeting, the leadership symposium last week, and tried to make light of it, but also draw attention to people that have gone out of their way to make sure that there are restraint-free centers. We've had some fun challenges here at the village. A couple years ago, I challenged the employees to raise a certain amount of money by a certain deadline, and thinking that there's no way they could, and they did. And my reward to them was I had to dress up and wear a wig and a dress and lipstick and fingernail polish, and I had to parade down the gallery for a fashion show. It motivated the staff, and that's what it mattered. And we raised a lot of money for walk-in Alzheimer's, and that's what matters too. We recently had a contest to increase the number of deposits for our independent living center, and I set a deadline and a target, and if the move-in coordinator got a certain number of deposits, I'd shave my head, and ended up having to shave my head. So that was a lot of fun too. One of the centers that talked last week at the panel talked about a water balloon dodgeball with their director of nursing. The staff really had a lot of fun with that. Other people talked about using a dunk tank approach where they might be raising funds again for the Alzheimer's Association or some other group, and people get a chance to throw a ball and knock their supervisor in the water and raise money for a good cause all at the same time. And I'm sure other people have other ideas, but try to remember to make it fun. Are there any questions?
As a reminder, you can press star 1 if you have any questions.
Okay, I'm going to pass it back to Shannon.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one question. It is from Rochelle Rindle from Good Samaritan.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when you talked about including staff in the monthly audits, how do you adjust for additional time or training to make sure that those audits are comparing apples to apples?
Well, that's part of the commitment that the leadership team has made to this process, is making sure that the frontline staff that are involved in the audit have the time to perform the task and also have training to perform it appropriately. So the team captain that makes the assignment is responsible for setting aside the time to train the person, and then their department head who assigned them to that task force or that excellence team also has committed to giving them the time to perform the task. Does that address the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hilda, do we have again, a lot of no responses, but we do have the highest response coming at some of the above. And again, a portion of you saying that direct care staff are involved in resident care decisions. So those are some excellent steps to looking at how to empower your staff. One way to involve your staff in QAPI, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce you to some QAPI training materials that were developed by our Oregon Health Insight colleagues. This is an animated introduction to Medicare's Quality Assurance Performance Improvement Program and activities for nursing home certified nursing assistants and other direct caregivers. It uses an example to discuss what QAPI is and how CNAs can contribute to the process of improving safety and quality of care. We'll provide the link in chat, but it's also on the bottom of your slides here. And it consists of a web-based learning activity, a 10-minute how-to about QAPI making a difference, a role play, discussion questions, and a quiz. So we want to thank Tamara Solomon, the Health Insight Oregon team, for creating these materials and making them available for you to be able to use in your buildings. So with that, for any more information, you can reach out to myself or to Pamela Longmire at the contact information included on this slide. And we greatly appreciate your time and attention today in today's Grade 8 webinar. Please don't forget to complete the survey at the end of the webinar. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's conference. We thank you for participating. You may now disconnect. Speakers, please stand by for your post-conference.